of Frankie Paul's career. But Tidal Wave is a George Pang product. Sly and Robbie, and there's a big story, a big backstory behind those early music that George Pang did with Sly and Robbie. But today we're gonna focus exclusively on Frankie Paul. Started singing at an early age. In fact, he was born blind, and had I think somewhere around 8 years old, he had the opportunity to get some work done on his eyes, and they restored sight in one of his eyes, partial restoration of sight. And but he nevertheless continued his education at the Salvation Army School for the Blind, and he earned this moniker as Jamaica's Stevie Wonder. For one, Stevie Wonder was his idol, so to speak, in terms of his music, and in particular, Frankie Paul became not just it wasn't just that his vocals were powerful. He was also a multi-instrumentalist in terms of his ability. Played the piano, played a number of string and wind instruments, but without a doubt stamped his class in terms of how he used the whatever disadvantages he had, he turned them into advantages and built a significant career. And we're gonna, huge catalog, some 48 albums. We're gonna, do our best to try and give you listeners out there a taste, particularly for some of the lovers in the house. Frankie Paul have some of the sweetest, what we call them, Garth?
Lovers rock cover versions too.
A lot of cover versions, but again, we're gonna touch on this thing. We're gonna go back to the beginning of his career at somewhere around 7-8 years old, while he was at the Salvation Army School for the Blind. 1976, Stevie Wonder visited Jamaica and visited the Salvation Army School for the Blind, and of course, you can imagine a youngster like that, if this was his idol and his idol visiting, and he had an opportunity to sing for Stevie Wonder. And according to Dog newspaper, Stevie Wonder encouraged him to keep singing, and keep singing he did. By the time he left the School for the Blind at around 14, 15 years old, he was on the street basically singing for his supper, and he got a pickup. They took him to, I think it was, what the studio name got?
It was High Times.
High Times Studio. And he would open his account with, I think you have 3 pieces of
African Princess, Babylon Man, and Give the Youth a Chance.
Let's run those tunes.
Not surprised by that song, Give the Youth a Chance, because that's what he really wanted. Let's start out with African Princess.
Yes.
Got to give the youth a chance. Tell the elders not to fight them. Although you have some youth nowadays, trust me, Richard, the music that I make.
Yeah, but the music is really just a reflection of the times. I'm of that view. We can be as critical as we want. But one thing is true about Jamaican music is that if you listen long enough, well, let me put it another way. If you really want to know what's going on in Jamaica at any point in time, just take the time out, listen to the music. That is the thing. 1983, this is Frankie Paul as a teenager, 15, 16 years old. And essentially, repeating the same call that came through from the 60s and the 70s to give the youth them, the opportunity just to find a space for themselves. And, this is what the messaging is the same. 20 years later, and, even today, we're having the same issues. But Frankie Paul was essentially opening his account at this point in time. And of course, what we got treated to then was the beginning of a prolific production approach to music that I don't think any other artist before or since, has applied themselves to the music in the way that Frankie Paul has had.
And one of his trademark too is just calling his own name in his songs. Learn the third person,
Well, them have a saying in a life, if you don't believe in yourself, you can't expect anybody else to believe in you. And, you know, when you have the kind of disability, for most people anywhere, you lose your sight, you lose any of your senses and the tendencies that people fall up, and he was not prepared to do that. And more importantly, he got an opportunity and he decided to grab it with both hands.
He also was part of an alma mater of brilliant musicians who had sight impairment. Apart from Stevie Wonder, I'm talking Jamaican homegrown, like Derek Morgan, the Cooper brothers.
Cooper,
let me tell you, man,
yeah.
it's phenomenal what those guys have done in the music.
Hi there. If you enjoyed that clip, go on over to our website at yawdmedia.com, where you can watch the entire broadcast at your leisure. And while you're there, why don't you check out our other reggae music features? And before you leave, pick up some of our Jamaican reggae merchandise, and hey, don't forget to tell your friends.
My name is Garth, otherwise known as Big G.
My name is Richie Blackford.